I was looking at some graphics, including some graphics from Polymarket. And what I found was that Donald Trump was ahead, interestingly ahead, not as much as he had been last night ahead of her speech. She had actually gained some ground. If you're not familiar with Polymarket, this is basically a betting market. It's kind of like, you're betting on stocks or something, and you're trying to figure out, they're trying to gauge who's going to win. This was moments ago, right? Right before the news of RFK Jr. coming out, declaring his support for Donald Trump, announcing that he would be suspending his campaign. And guess what happened? Within minutes, what you saw was Polymarket had shifted. This is what I just got as I came to air with you right now, 52% to 48%. Now, isn't that interesting, right? Because every single other poll keeps telling you something entirely different. And I keep saying, you know what, you got to be careful. You got to be careful in terms of what you're trusting, what you're believing in a moment like this, because there is for sure a concerted effort, in my estimation, there just is, to try and affect sentiment that you see there on both sides. And so if the media is all in the tank for Kamala Harris, what they want to do is show you how she's just triumphing and how Donald Trump has no chance in HE double out. But Polymarket actually says something entirely different. Polymarket is where people are actually going and they're betting. And they're saying, okay, I think this one's going to win. I think that one's going to win. Let me take a look here with you at the numbers as we went into everything that was going on last night. So again, as we went into Kamala Harris's speech, or forgive me, as we came out of Kamala Harris's speech, I should say that he was actually more significantly ahead before she spoke. And then after she spoke, we saw him still ahead, but only ahead by the likes of, say, 50% to her 49%. So super, super duper close. And then right now, here we are in this moment in time. Take a look at that graphic, everyone. Trump, 52%, Harris, 48%. This is real money that's going to work. So it's a little less, shall we say, colored or polluted by some of the political shenanigans that go on when you have, for example, an actual poll and you have this media bias that is so rampant. Some other questions that Polymarket is asking that are worth addressing. Kamala Harris wins the popular vote. You see 71% of investors here do believe that she is going to win the popular vote. But the popular vote is very different, of course, than the Electoral College. And that's one of the reasons why the left so despises the Electoral College. The college that has actually served us quite well and actually makes sure that everybody gets a seat at the table, including little states like the one I grew up in that just has a few electoral votes, the state of New Hampshire, right? Why else would New Hampshire matter? Other than we're first in the nation. And by the way, Kamala got nowhere in New Hampshire. Let me just throw that out there. Why would a state like that matter if we didn't have an electoral college? Well, you see the left, they don't like the electoral college because they just want to go to California and New York and Chicago, right? Illinois, and call it a day. But you can't do that in the United States of America. You got to find a path where you get consensus from all the states. So you got to win the Electoral College. And this means that these swing states now are suddenly totally more in play. I'm just going to go some more Polymarket numbers here for you, just to read off what they are suggesting about swing states. This is very interesting. Georgia, Arizona, where he is tonight, he's ahead by a huge margin, according to Polymarket. You get a 10-point spread there. Massively ahead. 61% of investors putting money down on Trump winning Georgia compared to 39% for Harris. So that's very interesting. 16 electoral votes. Arizona, obviously a biggie. You see Nevada with 6 electoral votes, 53% going to Trump, 47% to Harris. And in fact, Polymarket also has him winning Pennsylvania. What do you know? Pennsylvania, 52% to 48%. I've been talking about this a lot. In fact, I've shown you 2 recent polls that suggest Donald Trump indeed is winning in Pennsylvania. So that's a biggie. And then you go to Wisconsin, and then you go to Michigan. Now, Wisconsin and Michigan are going to be tough for him. They're going to be challenging, at least according to Polymarket. We've seen some of this reflected in some of the other sort of regular old school polls as well. Michigan, investors are putting a lot of money on Michigan for Harris, 61% to 39%. Remember, these are not actually polls. They're not calling up people and saying, hey, who are you going to vote for? They're actually betting on whether one candidate is going to win over the other. So they're all putting their money on Kamala Harris in Michigan and Wisconsin. But you know what? This could change.